What we have here is a spike fallow deer buck, one of the best eating venison you can get. It's already been field dressed. The skin is gone, intestines are all gone. He's ready for butchering. And you don't have to have a fancy butcher shop or any place to do it. My favorite place is right on the tailgate, so you can do it anywhere, in hunting camp or at home or anywhere you want. It doesn't take much. I have 2 knives, a short bladed knife and a filleting knife. That's all the knives that I need. I can do the whole deer with these, no problem. Okay, first thing, get him on his back. There's the tenderloins, theoretically the best meat on the deer. And the thing to remember about butchering a deer, at least according to me, is stay against the bone. Don't leave any meat on the carcass. You want it all to come off. So we're taking the tenderloins out. Just again, I'm staying right against the bone. We have one really nice tenderloin. Once again, staying right against the bones. You can see the bones. Leave no meat behind. Another really nice tenderloin. Okay, now we're going to take the front shoulders off. All right, front shoulders coming off. And a lot of people don't realize it, but there's no bone connection, there's no joint. These front shoulders are held on completely just by muscles and tendons. So when we cut through the meat, there we have front shoulder. Once again, no joint, just muscle and tendon. And off it comes. Put those aside for later. There's a lot of good hamburger and sausage meat on these, especially on the neck, so we don't want to waste it. So the spine ends about here. There's 3 bones, a big one, a little one, a smaller one, and then none. So we're going to try to find the front one. Now we want to take this meat off, because this is going to go into the burger pile. So we go right up the middle of the neck. And you can see all the good meat coming off. Again, just following the bones around. And a really nice piece of meat for burger sausage. Once again, burger and sausage. Okay, next meat to come off is the loin, or backstrap as it's called. Runs down both sides of the spine, right to just above the hip bones, which are right here. So again, we're going to stay right on the bone on each side. Find the hip bone, just come in front of it, cut up, same on the other side. Now all of this can be taken off at any time now or when you're finished. Just throw into your burger pile. There's lots of little bits of meat, sides between the ribs. Now, one thing about the back strap, there's the backbone. It's a little bit of a step down bone here, so you want to pull it away and get your tip of your knife out and trim it a second time over the edge. Otherwise, if you go straight across, you leave a whole pile of meat in here. So this way you're not leaving any meat behind. And once we get it loose, then once again, just stay against the bone. You're going to see the short ribs here in a moment. There's the short ribs. No meat. There's a beautiful cut of meat, a back strap, or loin, as they call it. And same as the other side, once we get it started, just stay against the bone. All bones, all meat. Okay, that's the front half of the deer. The tail, just like when we took the head off and the legs, there's only one place you can make all these cuts, and there's the same with the tail. See, you have to just find the one spot where you can cut it. There it is, right there. That takes the tail off. Okay, we're down to the hindquarters. So we're going to take them off one at a time. Start through the middle. Again, we're going to follow the bone around right there. There's a flat bone. Comes down the side of the back right there. We follow it down. And unlike the fronts, the back does have a ball joint, and it's right here. And off the top of the ball is a tendon, so we got to get in there and cut the tendon, which we just did. This is where the filleting knife comes in handy, because there's a bit of an indent here, and again, you want to stay against the bone. If you went straight across, you'd leave a ton of good meat in there. So we want to go in with the tip of the knife against the bone all the way around. Okay. This bone comes down, there's a little knob on the end right there, so we go over that, we cut right through. And one really nice hind quarter of fallow deer. Now we've got options here. There's basically the sirloin tip, top round, bottom round, rump roast. I could take it off right here and make a giant bone-in roast. I could take the bone out and make a giant bone-out roast. Or I can take the rump roast off and then do the same two choices, bone-in, bone-out. But what we're going to do with these is we're going to break them down into the different roasts. So we're going to start off with the rump roast, and these all have a little bit of a gland right here. So we're going to take it off. That's it right there. It goes in the junk pile. Now this is the time to clean this up a little bit. You want to leave a lot of the outside skin on when you're freezing it because it protects the meat, and you can trim it again when you cook it. But we're going to take the worst part off right now. So there. So there's your sirloin tip. So we're going to just go to the top of it, right off. This is a double ball joint. There's another one of these right there. So we're going to come right through here. I'm going to turn it around to the other side. And we're going to just go around the joint. And there you have a really nice rump roast. What I like to do with this is I like to take all the meat out and get rid of the silver skin, and it makes the world's best stew and stir fry. Next one, sirloin tip. There's lots of ways to do it. The quickest and easiest is just to find this joint, this bone, go over it, and follow the bone right along. Comes out looking a bit like a football. We'll strip the outside stuff off of this particular piece. And sirloin tip. Okay, here's your 2 round roasts. Same thing, we're going to follow the same line, same angle, right about there, all the way through. And we're going to follow the bone, and not too far, just the tip of the knife, otherwise you make big slices into the roast itself. So you just the tip along the edge of the bone to take the meat off. And around the joint. And there's the double ball joint right there. This piece, we take it off later. It goes in your burger and sausage pile. Lots of good meat there too. Okay, now we're down to our last 2 roasts. This little piece just comes off and goes in the grind pile. Now in the middle of these 2, there's this little row of fat and connective tissue. We're going to trim it out. Another little piece for the grind pile. Okay, so round roast, eye of round. So we're going to leave the eye around on the smaller one. They all have a natural break. You can actually just do it with your fingers. So we're going to just follow that along. And there you have a beautiful round roast. You can cut it into steaks or chops, or cook it as a roast. You can take the eye out, leave it on, whatever your choice. Okay, this is the other one. There's a little bit of a cap on these. A friend of mine came up with this. What we do is we actually take it off, because if anything, it's going to have little bits of hair, the odd dirt on it, and it's kind of surplus anyway. And it's not going to be wasted because it's going to go in the grind. So we'll take it off. You You go past the first break to the second break, and there it is. These things almost do themselves. Grind, and let's trim this little piece of stuff off here. And what we have here is a really nice little round roast. And that's set for that hind quarter. So the other one, we'll do it later. No sense doing them both because we've just done one. We'll do a little bit of cleanup now on the back straps or loins. So you see the one end, it's kind of loose. So you want to go to this end of it. And if you grab it and you just pull it right off. That's all stuff that you're not going to eat anyway. There's always a little piece here, so it's easier to do this now. And just take this off because then it's nicely trimmed and ready for cooking. Just take that off into the grind. And a beautiful backstrapper loin. There you go. And we can make it into 2 pieces or 3 or whatever you like. Tenderloins, to clean them up. This is my preference. There's always this little extra piece along the side. You can leave it on and cook it and eat it. There's nothing wrong with it. But just for clarity and cleanliness, it can go in the grind anyway. Now you have just a perfect little tenderloin. Nothing but best piece of meat in the deer. Okay, well, we're down to the last little bits, front shoulders, and we're going to make these into front shoulder roasts. A lot of people just take the meat off these and use it for burger and sausage. Nothing wrong with that. But they make a really nice roast, and if you cook them up, just pretend they're ribs. Cook them like you'd cook ribs on a rack or boil them or whatever. And really a lot, and there's a ton of meat. That'll feed 6 or 8 people that. So we're going to clean this up and make a roast out of it. Okay, so that's the tip of the shoulder blade. That's why they call it a blade roast, the front shoulder. We're going to see if we can get it off just to square it up a bit. Looks a lot better. Turn it over. If you want to take some of the outside skin off, it's good to leave it on to freeze it, but before you cook it, you'd want to just clean it up a bit, so you just go underneath that top layer and it comes off just like paper. And there you have nice clean meat. We'll take just a little bit more of this off for the grind. Okay, so we've got it mostly cleaned up. It's ready to make into a roast. There's a very complicated joint right here. I could cut around the joint and break it loose and have the joint sticking out, but because I have a little handheld saw there, I'll make it easy. So I just want to find this bone joint going behind it to the big bone, around the front, all the way around. And there's a real lovely front shoulder roast. Just cook it up like ribs, to die for. So, except for the other front shoulder that we're not going to do right now, There's all the good edible, really good edible parts of the deer. There's your burger. That's it. All done on the table.